Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, class. I would like to call to order the Dania Beach regular city commission meeting. It is Tuesday, February 27th, and it is 7 o'clock. Call the roll, please.
Mayor James.
Here.
Vice Mayor Harris.
Here.
Commissioner Brandemart.
Here.
Commissioner Grace.
Here.
Commissioner Salvino.
Here.
City Manager Baldwin.
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro.
Here.
Thank you.
I would like for us to really pause for a moment of silence for the victims of the Stoneman Douglas High School tragedy. And I'm going to read off the victims' names. Alyssa Al-Hadif, Martin Anguiano, Nicholas Dwart, Jamie Guttenberg, Luke Hoyer, Cara Lugham, Gina Montalto, Joaquin Oliver, Alina Petty, Meadow Pollack, Helena Ramsey, Alexander Scotcher, Carmen Skintrup, Peter Wang, and the three staff, Scott Beagle, Aaron Feast, and Christopher Hickson. Please bow your heads for a moment of silence. Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. We're going to go right to presentations and special event approvals. Commissioner Salvino with his employee recognition.
Thank you, Mayor. I picked this as I was notified that we have a couple of gentlemen retiring from the city of Dania after many, many years of their wonderful service to our city. I can remember seeing them around town all my life. It seems like they may have been here 50 years instead of 20 or 30. I'm not sure how long they were there, but I know they've been around a long time. It's employees like you that made Dania Beach what they are, keeping us in shape and taking good care of us. And I just want to thank you guys for your service to the city of Dania Beach. And I'd like to present you with a certificate of resignation. Is that okay?
Yes.
Leroy Walters
Of resignation or recognition?
and Stanley Johnson, come on up.
You said resignation.
Come on.
Gentlemen.
I'll be going to Bahamas very often now. Am I right, Stan?
Yeah.
I'll be going to the Bahamas. Not that I haven't been already, but I will be going to the Bahamas a lot more now. Job well done.
Yes, thank you. You're going to be missed. We're going to miss you.
The city of Dania must be doing something right to retain employees that long. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Next is a special event request from the Divers Cove for their annual beach cleanup and pier cleanup that will take place on June the 2nd at North Beach Road. Are there any issues?
There are no issues, Mayor.
Move the item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Proclamations. 4.1, the eating disorders. Dr. Brittany Jardine here. Hi, you want to come up? I'm going to read the proclamation. If you want to speak on it any further, you can. Okay. Whereas eating disorders affect 30 million individuals in the United States during their lifetimes, with more than 600,000 individuals in the state of Florida alone. And whereas eating disorders, including the specific disorders of anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, binge eating disorder, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, and other specified feeding or eating disorders are complex biologically based illnesses. And whereas eating disorders are associated with serious physical health consequences, including irregular heartbeats, heart disease and heart failure, kidney failure, osteoporosis, gastric rupture, tooth decay, obesity, gallbladder disease, diabetes, and death. And whereas at least once every 62 minutes, someone dies due to their struggle with an eating disorder. And anorexia nervosa has the highest mortality rate of any mental illness. And whereas eating disorders know no boundaries with respect to genders, ages, races, ethnicities, body shapes and weights, sexual orientations, and socioeconomic statuses. And whereas eating disorders have a high prevalence among active military service members and veterans. And whereas with early detection and intervention, full recovery from an eating disorder is possible. And whereas the Alliance for Eating Disorders Awareness, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, is the premier eating disorders organization in the state of Florida dedicated to providing programs and activities aimed at outreach, education, and early intervention for all eating disorders. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Dania Beach City Commission, I, Tamara James, Mayor of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim February 25th, 2018 through March 3rd, proclaim February 25th, 2018 through March 3rd, 2018 as Eating Disorders Awareness Week. Would you like to speak on it?
If I could just say
Yes, ma'am.
one word, thank you.
Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Address of employment?
That's fine.
Okay. So my name is Dr. Brittany Jardine from the Alliance for Eating Disorders Awareness, which is 1649 West Palm Beach Boulevard.
Okay.
I would just like to say on behalf of the Alliance that we really want to thank you for your dedication towards eating disorders awareness. They are not an illness of choice. They are very serious biologically based illnesses. And I want to let you know about our annual walk for awareness that we're having on March 3rd at Traybwins Park in Coconut Creek. We really count on your support so that the Alliance can continue going out to communities to educate and raise awareness, as we just find it unacceptable that someone dies as a direct result of their eating disorder every 62 minutes. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And the next proclamation is the Black History Month proclamation. Commissioner Grace? I'll read it.
Thank you.
Whereas Black History Month is an accepted national event celebrating the contributions of African American people in their struggles for freedom and equality and their part in the development of our nation's history. And whereas in 1926, historian and author Carter G. Woodson, who is known as the father of Black history study, introduced Negro History Week as a reaction to racism and to highlight the roles blacks have played in the development of civilization. And whereas Dr. Woodson introduced Negro History Week in February to have it as close as possible to the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, since that time, Negro History Week has been expanded to encompass the entire month of February and has also undergone a change in terminology. And whereas in 1986, Congress passed a public law 99-244, which designated February 1986 as National Black Afro-American Month. And whereas African Americans in Dania Beach continue to demonstrate heroic deeds of exceptional men and women such as the Carroll, James, Chambers, Collins, Grace, Peterman, Byrd, Ely, Waiters, Robinson, Black, Curry, Cornelius, Walker, and Davis families, as well as all other Dania Beach families. And whereas this year's theme, the African American in Times of War, commemorates the centennial of the end of the First World War in 1918 and explores the complex meanings and implications of this international struggle and its aftermath. The First World War was intentionally termed by many as the Great War, the war to end all wars, and the war to make the world safe for democracy. And whereas those very same concepts provide a broad, useful framework for focusing on the roles of African Americans in every American war, from the Revolutionary War era to that of the present war against terrorism, times of war inevitably provide the framework for many stories related to African American soldiers and sailors, veterans and civilians. This is a theme filled with paradoxes of valor and defeat, of civil rights opportunities and setbacks, of struggles abroad and at home, of artistic creativity and repression, and of catastrophic loss of life in righteous hope of peace. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Dania Beach City Commission, I, Tamara James, Mayor of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, do by here proclaim the month of February 2018 as Black History Month in the City of Dania Beach, and encourage all citizens of Dania Beach to join in learning and celebrating the contributions of African Americans that have made to this world, to our country, and to our community. Commissioner Grace.
I certainly want to thank Louise for putting that together, and you coming back to me again, but I really appreciate it. And this month is really hitting home because we had a premiere movie come out this month, and I actually had an opportunity to take at least 47 residents from Dania Beach gracefully aging to the movie Black Panthers. If you have not had an opportunity to go and see that movie, it tells you about our country and where we came from. So I was absolutely delighted. I'm really happy about the proclamation, and I will read it again on Thursday to the Gracefully Aging group. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Citizens' comments. When you come up, please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes. Kendra Wright. Good evening.
Good evening.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Kendra Wright, and I currently reside at 22 Southwest 6th Avenue in Dania Beach. Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Attorney, City Manager, City Clerk, good evening. Thank you for your time. Please know, I know your job is not easy, and I'm not here to make it harder. I'm here because I need help. I consider you all the voice of wisdom and reason, and I live in Dania Beach because I am a Hurricane Irma survivor. Hurricane Irma destroyed my property in Hollywood. My ceiling fell on my back, and as a result, it killed my 4-pound Yorkie, and I had a miscarriage. I lost everything, including my car. I have no family here, and I had to start completely over. I just graduated from nursing school, and I was preparing for my nursing boards. Because of my back injury, I can no longer do bedside care, and that was my dream. I'm in physical therapy 5 times a week. I say all that to tell you that I moved to Dania Beach for comfort. I moved here because this place looks like the place I grew up in North Carolina, a small town, people who look just like me, safe and secure. To my horror, the first week I was here, I was robbed. My money was taken, my ID was taken, my bicycles were taken, my library books were taken. Everything was taken. The second week, someone tried to bust in through the bathroom window. Luckily, they were not successful. I have become on a first-name basis with the police officers in Dania Beach. I call at least 3 times a week. I've been threatened by my neighbors. I can't take my service-trained emotional service animal outside because the leash laws aren't being respected, and we get charged that. I'm at a loss. I have called, I've had a police officer say in my face, everyone knows each other here, and you don't know anybody. You need to move.
Do you have a name?
Yes, ma'am.
She don't want to name the name here.
I'll name that privately.
Okay.
I have walked to the substation and spoke to the sergeant. His answer was, "We can't put an armed guard at your door 24/7. And I said, "Sir, that's not what I asked you for. And can you please tell me what you can do to help me as opposed to what you can't?" My 3 minutes is over, but I want you to know that I see a lot of promise in Dania Beach, and I want to be a part of it. I don't want to move, and I would like to help because I don't understand why West Dania looks like a war zone, and East Dania is beautiful. I can't move to East Dania. I want to stay where I'm at, and I want to make West Dania a place that I'm proud to have people come to, because currently I don't invite anyone to where I live. I walk outside and I have to duck because the bushes haven't been trimmed. I see used condoms, used tampons on the ground. Just this morning, a man stopped in front of my home, jumped out of his car, and urinated. Because that's what my neighborhood looks like. I've taken up more than my time, and if you have any suggestions for me, I appreciate that.
I have your phone number on here, Kendra, and we have a few commissioners that want to say something to you, but I have your phone number in here, and I will be giving you a phone call outside of this public meeting so we can discuss some options for you. Commissioner Grace?
Yes, first of all, I'm sad to hear that this is going on, and this is the first time that we've had the opportunity to hear about it. And I can truly tell you that the northwest section, along with the southwest section, the southeast section, and Mataluca, all have been upgraded in the years. And we take pride in our community. The 5 of us here are elected by every resident in the city of Dania Beach. We do have charters, guidelines that we have to follow, and since you mentioned this, and I know exactly where this is because this is right down the street from the church that I grew up in, okay?
Right.
If you look behind you and look at Mark LaFarian, he's over our code people. He will take down the address. And for the officer who had the nerve and the audacity to tell you to move instead of trying to comfort you and to make sure that you were safe and secure and things were in their proper manners, I would like to really talk to the chief,
That's right.
the assistant, and we're going to have some sensitivity training, and if they don't like their jobs in the city of Dania Beach, no matter what section it is, to tell a resident you need to move, I cannot fathom saying that to anyone. We hired you for services, and that's what I want, services. And if you can't give it to me, then you need to get your butts out of the city of Dania Beach. That's how I feel.
Commissioner Brandon Marty?
Yeah, Kendra, you and I spoke outside. I know you're very emotional over everything, and there were 2 things. Number one, she really was coming in for also was more police patrols in her area. That was number one. She's just asking to have a cop go by every now and then. Number 2, the next door neighbor has 3 dogs that are out loose constantly, and she's fearful of these animals. The leash laws is what she means is not being enforced. And as far as the officer speaking to you the way that he did, believe me, we have officers here that are over that officer, and they, Mr. Stallings, oh, hi, he's new here, will take care of discussing sensitivity, as Commissioner Gray said, with this officer. Nobody gets drummed out of their house. Nobody. We wouldn't let that happen to you, Kendra. I mean that. And don't cry no more, little girl. Don't cry no more.
I would like to thank you for your courage to come up to the podium as a grown woman and speak to all of us and share your concerns, because we are here to serve all of the residents of Dania Beach and the area that you live in. I believe, is that by Smith Store?
No. That's by Bethel Missionary Baptist Church.
That's by Bethel?
22, our address at the church is
But
6
she says north-
Southwest 6. She's 22 Southwest 6.
22 Southwest.
I know exactly
Six,
where
okay,
it
that's
is.
7th.
It's a
Okay,
Right down the street from Bethel.
okay, okay. I'll be calling you, and we'll be getting in contact with you, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You will, if
Thank
I
you,
can ask
Commissioner.
you also to get with the city clerk, get my telephone number, my address, call me anytime.
Thank you,
That's my
Commissioner.
job.
Thank you, Commissioner Grace. Thank you, Commissioner.
Veronica Larkins.
Very.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners,
Good
and
afternoon.
staff. The reason I'm up here today, we have the Florida Youth Camp up in Umatilla, Florida. It's called Dania Beach Camp. We're now accepting applications. We're going to be taking approximately 50 kids up to Umatilla, Florida. It's a free event. The only thing is required that you have to go online. You need to contact Ms. Ivy Cure. Her last name is spelled C-U-R-E. Phone number 954-558-2775. We're going to be taking the kids up on July 22nd through the 28th of 2018. We would like to have the ages of, these are the ages for the kids, 9 to 13. You cannot be 14. You have to be between the ages of 9 and 13.
So my son doesn't fit this, oh.
No, not yet. Couple more years.
Too bad.
We would love to have Dion.
He looked 9.
I know. It's called the Florida Youth Camp. We like to inspire, connect, and expand. It's a private group in Broward County headed by Mrs. Ivy Cure, and we have other committee members. If you go online, fill out the application. To email your child to the camp, go to www.feye.org. And please, you guys are familiar with this. Chiki, you have given plenty donations, Ivy.
What I just say to
We
you, huh?
know it's coming.
I just said
Tamara.
I gotta ask Ronnie if she's accepted. Put me in for 100.
Thank you, honey. Appreciate
welcome.
it.
I-
Anybody else
every
out
year
there
for the
in the
kids.
audience, anybody, we're really need donations. Bill, last year you helped us out. Please, I'm begging, I'm
Put him on
asking,
the
I'm
spot.
pleading.
Put him on the spot.
Yes,
Call him.
sir. Yes, sir. Gotta have it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. It's be greatly appreciated.
I want to
Wait,
thank,
Mayor.
yeah, I want to thank you and Miss Ivy for always doing this camp, the Dania Beach Camp. You guys do it every year, and a lot of us do help out with you all. But to have the patience and the heart and the passion to go to camp, God bless you all, because I couldn't do it. So I thank educators, anyone who can deal with the children the way you all deal with them. I'm serious about my 6-year-old. I mean, he really
I
looks.
know, he looks 9. He looks 9. He plays 9, but he's only 6. Thank you, guys. And I want to also say, MDS Strong. This Candace here. Thank you, South Broward High School, for being the first ones to go out there and protest for those kids and family members and teachers. Thank you all.
Commissioner
Good
Brandon,
night.
Commissioner
Yes,
Brandon
ma'am.
Marty.
Thank you, darling.
This is.
Well, y'all, you balling like that?
This
You
is
got
our
that
first
old money.
$100. This is
Just right in
my
the
first
pocket. Let me get $1. Hold on.
Anybody else?
Hold on. Commissioner Grace.
If I give you a check,
I
can you
just
hold
want
it?
to, I know last year, we had some trouble with the transportation for the bus.
That's why.
And I'm going to talk to the gentleman that normally takes you up there every year. I have the connections. I think I can get the bus, and it's not going to cost you anything.
You go, Bobby Grace. That's my girl. Thank you.
Well-
Come on, Marco, baby. Come on, baby. Come on. Put me on the spot. Come on, help me out.
You know where to come to get your check.
Oh, all right. Thank
Well,
you,
you
guys.
know, the younger generation, we have plastic, so I don't carry
It's
cash.
okay, baby. We got a card. We'll swipe.
You say
Thank
no
you,
more.
guys.
You just seasoned, not
You
old,
say
just
no more.
just seasoned.
Okay.
Seasoned salt, yeah, seasoned. Public safety reports. Lieutenant Stallings. And I would like to thank Parks and Recreation, and I know that Raphael and what is his name? And Ron helped with the candles that are inside, and Kayla Gardner. She put all these all these little mason jars together by herself, and she has a very creative mind, and it's something that I wanted to do to honor the victims, and she did it very beautifully. So thank you, Kayla.
Thank you.
Where's she at?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners,
Good
City
evening.
staff. Before I get into the crime stats, I want to tell you something we're doing here in Dania to be a little bit proactive since the MSD shooting. As you know, we have 2 school resource officers in 3 schools. So what we have decided to do was take one of our road patrol personnel, when we have Dania Beach Elementary School being covered, we will then cover that with one of our road patrol deputies. And when she's at the other school, when she's at Collins, vice versa, we'll constantly keep making sure that someone's there on a regular basis. We also reached out to our school resource officers unit down at the public safety building. And they're in the process right now of trying to develop an eligibility list to see what other officers are interested in becoming school resource officers. And then we're hoping that once they do their interviews, there's no date scheduled for it yet, but we can then hopefully choose the person that's the best fit for Dania Beach to place into our schools. So our schools will be covered full-time. And we're also looking at taking some of those vacant positions that you guys have given us as police officers to place one of those positions into the schools, so we can definitely have all of our schools covered.
Wonderful.
So that's the plan. You know, since this whole MSD shooting thing, we've been getting a lot of social media threats. I can just tell you about one that occurred over at Bass Pro Shop. Young lady calls Bass Pro Shop and said that she was going to blow the place up because they sell guns. And we did the research, found out who she was, and she lived in the city of Coral Springs. And we actually took her into custody. And there's a lot of things that we're hearing. I have one of my soon-to-be new sergeants who's actually a homicide detective, and that's working diligently on that case. But again, this the same female that we arrested for the Bass Pro Shop also called Washington, D.C. and made some threats to D.C., so we got the Secret Service and FBI also involved in that. To tell you about a couple significant incidents that occurred here in Dania, and I think it's because they happen a week apart, the actual area is under the impression that there's an uptick in crime. And I can tell you from looking at the stats, it hasn't been. But however, these significant incidents was on February 19th, we received a phone call of someone who was being held hostage at a residence in Dania, and in the northeast section. And naturally, we responded over. And we made several attempts to try to get the occupants to come out, and to no avail. They wouldn't come out. We got on the PA system. We tried to talk to neighbors. We eventually made contact with the actual owner who gave us the name of the person he was renting his house out to. That person happened to be on pretrial release for an attempted murder. And so now our fear was the fact that if someone was being held hostage, what's going to happen if this person has already been charged with something, such as attempted murder? And we did everything we could. We got the SWAT team out. SWAT team in their armored vehicle got as close as they possibly could to try to make an announcement, have the occupants come out. They still refused. And at some point, we have to take some action. And SWAT forcibly entered the house. However, 2 occupants claimed that they were asleep and did not hear us. However, I got phone calls of people who were at the casino that said they heard the loud bangs. So there's no way in the world that they could have not heard what was being done. But that occurred on the 19th. On the 26th, we had two young men go into Citibank and try to cash a fraudulent check. When the officers arrived, they fled. They fled to a dead end in the northeast section, which happened to be a block from where the alleged hostage incident had occurred. And once they got to the dead end, they took off running, and our guys was able to, after a short chase, place them into custody. And again, there's not an uptick in crime in the northeast section. since the MSD shooting, I go back to that, we've planned to do several different things around here and go back to the schools again, sorry. But you guys may hear about a large number of police officers at the schools. What I decided to do, along with having a good conversation with Captain Mark, and that was to ensure that all of our daytime road patrol deputies become familiarized with the layout of each school. So we're going to be doing our roll calls there and doing a walkthrough, so our guys can familiarize themselves, like I said, with the schools and again be able to respond in a timely fashion. I'm not sure if you're aware of the incident that occurred today. Okay. We got a phone call from a bus driver who said there was an intruder on the campus. In a matter of minutes, we were able to get deputies to surround the school, other agencies, other districts sent personnel to it. We had a large contingency of deputies there. However, into helicopters and everything else, and turned out not to be an intruder.
What was it?
Turned out to be a staff member that had only been on the campus for 2 days, and the bus driver did not know the person, and so therefore she did exactly what we asked her to do: see something, say something. And again, it gave us an
But
opportunity
why
to
did
have
they jump the gate?
he was, because I know the guy personally. He's a former NFL football player.
They don't jump gates.
That's the behavioral specialist at the school, and he's new to the school. He came out of the cafeteria after having lunch, and when he came to the gate was locked, which is what they're supposed to. And he decided rather than making his way back around, it was much easier for him being athletic to jump the gate. And so he did that, and the bus driver happened to see it and made the phone call. But again, did exactly what we asked her to do.
He don't jump no more gates.
So we also are attempting to do our first driveway initiative, and we got a young lady that's going to allow us to use her driveway to have
Who?
to do our first driveway initiative, Ms. Ivy. So we're looking to do that probably in the next two to 3 weeks.
The
to get that
driveway
done.
initiative.
Oh, we all want it.
Conch salad,
Too.
rum punch.
Now, with that said, I got two young men that I want to introduce, and they're new to Dania Beach. In order to gain two new ones, we had to lose two, and we lost Sergeant Dan Iasia.
Yes.
He went to the airport, transferred to the airport, and we lost Bob Manfrey, who went to the port. He did a swap with Lieutenant Jason Tarawa. Jason worked here when he got promoted to the rank of sergeant, and he worked here for 4 to 5 months, and he was transferred out, and then he's now back with us. So again, we're happy to have him. And Valerian Perez, he's a newly promoted sergeant,
All
however,
right.
but a wealth of experience,
now.
former school resource officer, and former
He on regular clothes. You know he's
detective.
special.
So we're doing really, really good when it comes to the employees that we're bringing into the city of Dania Beach. And just so you know, I had Jason go out and speak to Ms. Kendra, and we'll definitely take care of the problem, because that's something not
Thank you.
you know,
I knew
me
it wasn't
or
these two gentlemen. I knew.
that's
who
not
it
something
was,
myself
and
or Captain Marks would even
out of
tolerate.
character, really.
So again, we would definitely take care of that.
Said that. I knew you'd take
All right.
care of it.
I have a question.
Take care of it.
Right. Is there anything for my report?
Yes. One of my major concerns the day after the shooting happened was the fact that we had a floating officer at our schools and not a steady officer. And I know people tend to think that those type of things don't happen to elementary students, but we know with Sandy Hook that that's not true. And so I'm glad that you guys addressed that, and that who's funding that? It's going to be through the
Right now, we're
officer?
doing it with what we have, and
In-house.
Mayor, right
We're
now,
gonna do
we're
it for-
funding it. We're funding it.
We're
through the-
funding extra officers?
Yes.
yeah, that was already agreed upon through contract.
No, we already was
Right.
giving you extra officers, so
Right.
you're just using those,
We're
correct?
just going to
Right, that's what I was making sure. It wasn't
reorganize.
additional.
Yes.
Okay, and I also want to make sure, I know that we don't want to, maybe in elementary, call them active shooter drills or something like that, but I want to make sure, because the last time I had checked with Chief and with the city manager, that the elementary schools hadn't conducted that type of a drill, but Olsen Middle School has. Now it's been halfway through the year, and I don't know how often we do those, but I want to make sure that we are doing those every year. And it could be called a code red drill, but I want to make sure that should something happen, that everyone is on the same page and our kids understand from kindergarten up, we have the same drill, kind of go to the same place. It's a familiarity, oh my gosh, I can't say that word right now, in their minds, and so they know where to go and what to do, because at that age, I'm sure that they probably will panic. And lastly, I know that I want to make sure that we are doing the same thing here with City Hall to make sure that we have a plan for our employees, a meetup spot. Everyone knows the exits should something happen, because this place is not secure. I can tell you that. I have a great deal of concerns, and I know they're being addressed. But I want to publicly say, like, it's not secure for our employees here, and that is something that I am very concerned about. But I want to thank you all for your quick response today. You can only go by what the information that you get, and especially in light of what has happened, I'm sure everyone is on edge and taking everything is serious. So I want to thank you all for your service. Commissioner Grace?
I just want to tell you how important it is for us to give you that support 100%. And likewise, we want to do the very same thing. I know that your job is very difficult, as in our fire department and our first responders, and we appreciate you serving us. And as a TEAM, we will be even stronger and even better. Thank you so much.
Just one more thing, just so you know, I spent 9 years as a school resource officer. And Sergeant Perez has also been a school resource officer. We did it all at the same time. So we understand your concerns. And after today's incident, myself and Lieutenant Tarala, we sat down with the school resource officer, and we did a complete debriefing of what occurred, what is supposed to be done, and how it should be done. And so we're on top of that, because again, we don't want to be, in the paper. We don't want any of that stuff either. So we are doing everything we can to make sure that we're all on the same page. Like I said, to that same note, we want to make sure that our deputies know exactly what to
Absolutely.
do and where to go if something happens to, at those schools.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
welcome to Dania Beach.
Welcome, welcome.
Congratulations.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commissioner, City Staff. Sean Brown with Broward Sheriff's Office Fire Rescue. I was prepared to talk about something this evening, but I think I may have been a little bit premature in doing so, so I'm going to hold that for a future commission meeting.
Okay.
Aside from that, we have no major issues from the fire side that I have for discussion for you this evening. Do you have anything for me?
No,
No,
Any questions,
thank you.
comments, concerns? Okay. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
consent agenda, do we have any pulls?
Yes.
Yes,
7.3.
7.3. Is that it?
Motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 7.3.
And with the addition of 7.5?
And with the addition of
7.5.
7.5, which is the addendum
Yes,
for the logo.
that's
Yes.
my motion.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, I guess all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
7.3, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, calling on the state of Florida, Governor Rick Scott, President Donald Trump, and the federal government to reduce gun violence in America and help prevent future shootings by requiring a background check for every firearm sale, supporting the passage of a red flag law, supporting raising the age for the legal purchase of firearms, magazines, and ammunition to 21, supporting the passage of legislation that would keep military-style weapons and high-capacity magazines away from our schools, authorizing the city clerk to transmit this resolution, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
Okay, great. I pull this because even though there are many items in this that I totally agree on, I can't accept it the way it's written. I think that's more than anything. Number one, I do agree on a thorough background checks. Everybody that buys a gun should have a thorough background check. I do support the raising of the age of a person to purchase a handgun. I'm okay with that. I do support to banish military-style weapons and high-capacity magazines away from our schools. However, I think I saw on the news tonight where they said no to assault weapons. Is that true? That they turned it down, legislature? I am right. Thank you. So that already failed, so they can have their assault weapons. That's not my concern. I hate them. To me, they're killing machines. To me, there's something that you use when you're in the service, not as a resident and in our streets. All right? I don't like, but I do support the age difference because a boy 18 could get married, have a child, and this also takes away their right from protecting their family. So I have a little bit of issues if we could tweak the wording, and the most important one of all, and fellow commissioners, I want you to understand this one. There's something called a red flag law. And it's so unpopular that only 5 states have this red flag law. What is this? It's like this. Say you're in your house and you're having a dinner, and one of the kids, we'll say an 18-year-old says, oh, gee, that guy at school, he really bothers me. I feel like killing him. Or, gee, that barking dog, I feel like killing that dog. Immediately, there is, inside the family, the law, the reason I'm not comfortable with this, sometimes words in a family argument or just among friends, and in a worst-case scenario, anyone can call BSO, and that means a person who don't like anything you did anytime they were with you. They can call BSO after hearing words. I feel like killing that, whatever. Could be a mouse, I don't care. BSO gives this law, that's why it's only in 5 states, gives BSO the right to come in your house with an extreme risk protection order and take it to court. And you as the mother said, well, we were only joking around. How many times have I said, I feel like killing you? But then it's going to cost you hundreds and hundreds of dollars to fight that case in a courtroom. And a lot of us say that about a dog, some silly things. Now, the main thing is this, and this goes to our attorney, Mayor. In 2011, Florida legislature passed and Governor Scott signed laws of Florida to allow the governor to remove from office without due process of law any person acting in official capacity for a local authority, included an elected official, with this ordinance without cause to be enforced. He signed it. As it goes on, it states this. On top of that, in 2011, an amendment to that Florida statute provides for personal liability. Any person who enacts or causes to be enforced any local ordinance to enforce, I believe the fine is $5,000, and that goes for prohibiting guns. The punishment for elected officials, I want to know if that was ever repealed. And the reason why I'm asking that is because in this ordinance, we are asking him to repeal it. So in essence, to me, if we're now asking him to repeal that law to protect Marco, Bobby, Tamara, and Bill and myself from getting a $5,000 fine because we agreed with all this gun craziness going on, why are we now asking for the appeal? It's kind of backwards to approve something like this without knowing we are indemnified against being taken and removed, even you as a mayor, out of office, if you enforce the rule.
If I can explain it, there is this statute that says if an elected official supports an ordinance or regulation, for example, to ban guns in parks, the state legislature has preempted, taken over exclusively anything to do with regulation of guns, magazines, ammunition. And the legislature wanted to make sure that everybody got the message, counties and cities, that if anybody tried to pass something that was anything to do with those topics, guns, weapons, or ammunition, as a local law, they could be removed from office, they could be subject to a fine. This is not a risk for you. Let me add on as well that Weston last night passed an ordinance, or passed a resolution that has authorized the city attorney there, Jamie Cole, to file a lawsuit challenging that statute.
So why should we be involved in it at this level? Why can't we wait? Let them challenge it. Let them get the decision. Then we jump in. Why would we jump in before we know where it's going? I would say like I say, you saw that I am 100% on board with those other things, but obviously legislature isn't, because tonight they passed that you cannot deny those big the weapons. They did it tonight. I saw it on TV. So that failed. How do I know this don't fail? And then we go and pass it, and then one of us, because we enforced it, get a $5,000 fine, and the city don't pay it. We pay it out of our own pockets.
Now, again, to clarify for everybody, to vote yes for this resolution, all this is supporting different measures, asking the state to change its mind, to do things.
But they
not
didn't
that the
change
city would
their
do it.
mind.
The city's not doing it.
I understand you, Tom, but they didn't change their mind yet. So why can't we wait and then have it rewritten a different way? I want to be protected, so I will vote no. You guys can vote yes all you want, but you got nowhere.
For clarification on this resolution, if we vote yes, can they fine us or remove us from office?
No.
Okay.
Why?
Again, all you're
Because
doing.
it's not a
all you're
city
doing
law.
is supporting
what he's saying.
different measures.
All right.
You know, you're requesting that the state and the governor do certain things. You're not acting an ordinance tonight to say, we don't care what the state says, here's what we're going to do.
So really all we're doing is supporting another city because they decided to write it up.
Well, again.
That's what it is, be honest.
This was adopted by Weston last night. I think virtually all the cities in Broward County are adopting this resolution.
I haven't seen any of them adopted yet,
Well,
and
one-
there are wording in this I need taken out. I need to know that if we enforce something, that we're not going to end up getting a penalty.
I
Look
can-
what they did with those guns tonight. They passed semi-automatic weapons.
Well, it's my legal opinion to you, and I'm very confident in it. that
All right, so
the-
then
the-
you better call roll call vote, because
That's
I
fine.
say let them make the decisions first, and then I'll jump on board.
Commissioner Salvino?
I have to be honest with you, I'm a little confused on both issues, and I'm not comfortable with this right now. Is this something we can table to the next meeting and let us do a little bit of investigation on it and satisfy our own needs so that we have
that's
anything? Because I'm caught off guard, and before I can vote against or for this, I'd like to research it a little bit harder.
Okay. I mean, we can continue it. I think that I've been receiving emails about the many cities that have adopted this resolution. It is a resolution that is here to protect our kids. It is a resolution here to protect gun laws. It's not restricting anyone from having a gun if you meet the criteria to have a gun. There are a lot of guns in the hands of people who do not deserve or need guns. There are a lot of loopholes.
I'm not doubting that, Mayor. I just
I
feel
understand what you're
uncomfortable at this
saying.
point. I'm not saying if we could bring it up in the next meeting, gives me a couple of weeks to do my own background. This caught me a little bit off guard. My due diligence was not good enough. I didn't understand it, and I probably should have done a little bit more homework on it.
Commissioner Grace?
I'm in a comfort zone right now that the attorney has indicated to us what our status will be, and there will be no repercussions for us. I think that the Florida League of Cities have been the front runner of us putting this together, and I'm going to vote in support of at this time.
Even, Mayor, even though we understand what it means for our family members, who in the heat of an argument say that in jest, and they've been done in all families.
Well, I think you would need to meet a criteria. You can't just go get a restraining order and not have any.
Use the words,
hard-
that's it, ask them. Ask them, it's only using
Do we
the
have
words.
a
motion?
A motion, thank
Yeah,
you.
motion for a roll call vote, I'm making it.
What's your motion?
To table this to another meeting until we see what's being done about these gun laws.
To the next meeting?
Yes,
Sure.
I'll second that.
You have a second? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart,
Yes.
Commissioner Grace,
No.
Commissioner Salvino,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris,
No.
Mayor James.
No.
Motion failed.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Who did the second? You did second, Commissioner Brandemarte.
Yeah. You have to.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart,
No.
Commissioner Grace,
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris,
Yes.
Mayor James.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passed.
All right, let's get back.
Can I,
Public hearings?
Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, y'all.
Oh, cancel.
Do you,
If-
okay.
If this, just, like I said, I'm not opposed to what the resolution was. If I come back with a different interpretation of this at the next meeting, though, because I'm still uncomfortable with it. I mean, I'm in favor of all the gun things that are on here and so on, but if this is another interpretation, this puts the city attorney in our commission at ill advice. So I just want to make sure, because I am going to research this very hard this week. I just want to
Me
put that
too.
on record.
Agree.
That's all.
So you're
Ill
saying,
advice.
I'm just letting you know. I mean, I voted for it, but I mean, if I find that the information
so you should, so
is wrong-
what, well, you probably shouldn't vote for it, so you'll be able to bring it back.
No,
Well,
it's already
it's
done.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's go.
Public hearing?
Okay, 9.1 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, pertaining to parking of vehicles, amending Chapter 25 entitled Traffic, Article 3 entitled Parking, Stopping, or Standing, Division 1 Generally, Section 2551 entitled Angle Parking, Backing Prohibited, Division 2 entitled Enforcement, Section 2579 entitled Fines, to update, clarify, and revise such section, and Division 3 entitled Parking Meters, Section 2586, entitled Paying for Parking by Use of Appropriate Coins or Currency, Time Restrictions, Parking Within Metered Space, of the City Code of Ordinances, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, further providing for an effective date, second reading of the ordinance.
Good evening, Mayor,
Okay.
Vice Mayor,
Good
Commissioners. Mark LaFerriere, Community Development. This is the second reading of an ordinance for our parking code. It's sort of a housekeeping amendment. It relates to back-end parking, accepting credit cards and debit cards, and establishing the fine, so it's clear and concise what the fines will be.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
I make a motion.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart,
Yes.
Commissioner Grace,
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris,
Yes.
Mayor James.
Yes.
Thank you.
9.2, an ordinance of the City Convention of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving the right-of-way easement vacation request VC 12517, submitted by Thomas Engineering Group LLC on behalf of the property owner Griffin 31 LLC for property generally located on the northeast corner of the intersection of Griffin Road and Southwest 32nd Avenue within the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as legally described in Exhibit A, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, further providing for an effective date, first reading of this ordinance.
Again, Mark LaFerriere, Community Development. This is a first reading of an ordinance to vacate a right-of-way easement on a vacant property at the northeast corner of 32nd Avenue and Griffin Road. That easement isn't going to be used by the city or any other utilities. The commission actually approved a waiver of a plat. That's another way to vacate this right-of-way. At their January 23rd meeting, staff's recommending approval of this application, please. Sorry.
Denial or approval?
Approve, please.
Approved.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart.
Yes.
Commissioner Grace,
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris.
Yes.
Mayor James.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wow, we're already on discussion and possible action. It's not even 8 o'clock yet.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, I'm not going to jinx, I'm sorry.
We'd received a letter from the Broward Historical Preservation Board, and they're seeking a pioneer nomination from Dania Beach City Commission. One, and then in addition, if you choose to, there are 4 other categories where you can nominate. So I wanted to make sure you had a chance to at least nominate the pioneer. And then if you have other ideas, we can submit those to the Historical Commission.
Nominated. He's already.
Commissioner Grace?
My colleagues are asking for one of our former, and he's already been nominated, and so was I. But I think that because he's a historic person for the Pioneers for the City of Dania Beach, if we can do a little consulting with him. There are a couple of names that I have in mind, and one of them is Eugenia Byrd, who is the wife of the former mayor of the City of Dania Beach. And I definitely would like to have her name added to it.
Okay, so that would be the commission's consensus for the Pioneer to be honored?
Commissioner Salvino?
Yep. Do we get, is this something we're doing tonight, or we get a chance to look around?
They're requesting that we give it to them no later than March 23rd.
That's no problem. Next week.
Okay. I have no one to add. I'm comfortable with you all.
You have
That's it?
someone to add?
No, I said I have no one to add. I'm comfortable with what you said.
Yeah.
So we're gonna.
I am too.
All right. I guess
So that's the
it.
Pioneer, and then there are 4 categories. Do you choose to nominate somebody for those categories? Judge Clayton Hanson Memorial Award, Cooper C. Kirk Award, Historic Preservation Board Special Award, Stuart P. McIver Historian Award. They primarily wanted a Pioneer.
Yeah, I think the Pioneers is normally what we have done each year, and so I think we should just stick with
End
that.
it there.
Okay?
Okay.
So we'll get the information ready and send it to the county for Eugenia Byrd.
Thank you. Now, the road surfacing project?
Yes, we've been doing this annually, about $250,000 a year, and I'd submitted that to you some time ago to give me any ideas, anything you want changed on it. So I just brought it to the commission tonight for approval.
Commissioner Grace?
I haven't really made a decision, but as long as we're talking about this, if I can just interject for one moment and go off the strip. City Manager Baldwin, you are the person that we have leading this city. We take our direction from you. You're the person that we paid to make the decisions of us hiring and
Thank you.
department heads. So I'm asking you, as we're doing the research for a city manager, and we need to expedite that as soon as possible, that you also take the leadership role, which I believe you came a couple of months before I did, and I think this is going to be, at the end of this year, it's going to be 9 years, that all of the department heads, that the vacancies are not filled, that you do that during your tender as our city manager. And I sincerely say that because I believe that I would like for it to come from you than anyone else. The human resources, the parks and recreation, the public works, code enforcement, et cetera, the city clerk. I would like for you to make all of those appointments before you leave this city, because you are the lead person. I have confidence in you. I'm sure that all 5 of us are not going to agree with your decision-making, but that's the way this job is. No 5 people are going to agree with anything.
I've learned that.
And you do what you do. You do, because that's what we're paying you for. And I have all the confidence. It might be somebody that I might not even like, but you know what? I have to live with it because we're taking our direction from you. And I really would appreciate you doing that, sincerely, honestly. And I think that most of my colleagues here feel the same way.
Yep, we do.
I have a question. 'Cause I'm a little confused. So are we talking about, for clarification for myself, are we speaking about those that have, that are not with the city now, or those whose term will expire before he leaves?
Those that their terms would expire before he leaves, because you've got 3 or 4
5.
people
4.
that
Let's
are going
name
to
them.
be leaving around the same time. And I think that since he's on the books, whether he leaves before or after November, then he should make those appointments. And
And
I'm serious.
I was going to announce we have filled the HR director position and the athletic director position. Those
Otherwise,
both
you
of
can
them.
save them all back, and I'll just wait until after November and do a resume for all of them.
We have the name of the new girl?
What new
Yes,
girl?
Paula Morell. Paula Morell.
I don't know who the new person is. I mean, oh, she used to work
Yes,
here?
you have that in your backup. I gave that to you.
Oh, it's in the back?
Yeah, I didn't, yeah.
Yes.
I know we have a new athletic director, but I know that we are going to be, I know Mark Felicity is less than a month away from retiring, and he won't be here, so that position needs to be, in my opinion, needs to be filled and not on a interim basis.
As full-time basis, yes, but coming from the city
Correct,
manager.
correct,
making-
correct.
Yes.
And so that means that there will be a coordinator position that would need to be filled. And I know that, hi Louise, you have 29 days? You have 29 days, and who
Okay.
else? Because we said 5, who else am I missing? City manager, who else am I missing?
Me. No.
Plus
The-
4,
The
and
recruitment's
then,
on here tonight.
and so
We're
that,
taking
but that's
into
it, those 3?
Yes,
I believe so.
yes. It should come from him, I'm
Yes, it
sorry.
should.
I mean,
do too.
I would not like for anyone to slight me,
No, me either.
knowing that that is part of my job description. I would like for him to do it. And we've always talked about if there's a person that is in the realm already that should be elevated, then let him.
Well, I appreciate
take a
your
look at it.
confidence, but
I
I
do.
know the last time I left a position and I did my job right up to the end, which I always did, and I renewed some contracts and things even after asking the commission, and they said, well, you're the manager, you decide. And then I got criticized for like, I was taking
Well, it's
care
a
of
new
my buddy.
commission.
Fair, I-
No, but I just,
November,
that's
I
the
don't
way
care.
it goes. It's,
We get criticized every day.
You're gonna get
Yeah.
criticized either way it go. There's a new commission, anyone have an issue
They
with
have
that?
the right-
No.
Any one of us have an issue with that?
With what?
What?
With him choosing the
absolutely
next
not.
park
No, I think we
director,
should.
the next clerk, and the next
He has the
coordinator?
experience
The,
there.
the current commission, when they come in, if they want to change it, then let them do what they want. But as long as
can't
we're
change
here
it.
together as a TEAM now, let
Right.
us do what's right.
Right.
okay.
If you want a roll call on that, you can.
No, no one shook their head no.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Okay.
yeah, back to the resurfacing project. Did anyone?
You got it?
Vice Mayor, we're still on the
take the lowest bid?
resurfacing project.
Yeah. Can we add Southeast Fourth Terrace to that list?
Southeast Fourth
between,
Terrace? Okay.
Third and Second. It's the roughest road I
Third
think
and
you've ever
Second,
been
Brad?
down on. It's, it looks
Put that
smooth,
in.
but it's just so bumpy. I don't know what causes that. It might have to be dug up and redone. I don't know. Thanks.
Commissioner Grace?
I know this might not be part of it, but as you go, I'm sorry. I was up at 7 this morning, and I'm really out of the norm right now. Usually I don't get up until 10. But as you're going out the street behind the post office, as you get to that corner, did you see all the,
They've been digging.
Right at this.
They've been
Yes.
digging.
Or whatever it is.
That's the
it needs to be
water.
resurfaced, repaved or something, because they're,
But they keep taking it out and putting it back
I'm gonna
because they're
have to
still
have new
working.
tires pretty soon. 'cause that's
It'll
the
all
way I
be
go.
repaired once it's all
Get it from the
installed.
city.
I want new tires and I want the.
We have insurance. Tear your tire up. Just joking. So, but is that something that's constantly gonna be worked on?
It's
I guess
right
she's
before you
asking.
get to
It'll
the
be completed.
resident
When, do you know, Brad, when that's gonna be completed?
Special needs.
That line? Okay.
Special needs. Before you get to that, it's all messed up there. Can we do something with that?
Yes, and we're trying to address some, we talked to Commissioner Salvino about some problems up there with the sidewalk and in the back, over by the post office.
Okay.
No, the issues with the drainage and the sidewalk and along
I
there.
don't have that anymore, it's not mine, thank you.
But it's your
Okay.
city.
Other than that, everyone good on that?
Yes.
All right. So that's all you needed for that?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Now the donation to the Chris Hickson Scholarship Fund, I put this on the agenda. Chris Hickson was not only a veteran from the Navy, he also was one of the victims. And at the Stoneman Douglas High School tragedy, and he was the athletic director at South Broward High School
South
for
Broward,
many
right.
years. He was my athletic director for a couple of years, and I know his wife Debbie is still over the magnet program at South Broward High School, and I've been in contact with them and sat with Debbie, and it's just horrible. You know, they have a special needs son, and to know that he knew what he was getting into once he heard those gunshots, and he got on his golf cart and tried to unarm a suspect with no weapon, and not even taking his own family, his wife, his sons, into consideration, but just selflessly sacrificing his life. I know we can't, we may not be able to do stuff for everyone, but this one hit really home because he served a lot of our kids here in the community of Dania Beach, because a lot of our kids go to South Broward High School. And so I didn't put a dollar amount on it. I know we have money in the contingency, not asking to go into the reserves or the budget or anything like that. I don't know what we can do. I just know that I wanted to give something in a scholarship in his name, not a GoFundMe, not something that we're unsure of, something that we would be able to verify and get through Debbie after a couple of weeks when things die down for her a little bit, because I know she must be overwhelmed. But they are setting up a scholarship fund in his name, and I just thought that would be a great gesture to donate to the scholarship from the city of Dania Beach, because he has serviced so many of our kids in our community in Dania Beach, and seeing so many of them at his funeral, it was a bit overwhelming, to say the least, because to see that much of outpour and love and respect for someone who gave their life, that's the ultimate sacrifice, who gave their life for not even their country, but for our students in our community. I just think that was a selfless act of him. Commissioner Grace?
I think, I love the way that those children at South Broward High School, the day after the event, came out in support of everything, because the wife still being there, he's being former. I want to ask Colin a question. I know that we've given our donations for this year, but can we add that for maybe $2,000, $3,000 for the budget coming up?
How much money do we have in contingency?
I don't know.
We have enough money in contingencies.
We do?
Well, why don't we start it off with what figure the mayor has in mind?
What
2
figure do you
grand?
have?
Can you start it off with?
Tell us.
I guess in my mind is 20 grand, so you don't ask
Oh.
me.
Well,
So,
you-
whatever we come up with together, it's fine with me.
I think it's 35 is what the commission
We
budgets for
have that
donations.
enough 35 in there?
35 has been your,
And
Colin
that's been
Donnelly, Assistant City
distributed.
Manager. 35 is your annual appropriate. But we'll be starting the budget preparation, so whatever notes you give me, we'll work into the budget. I know Mr. Baldwin is going to be meeting with you to discuss budget priorities, so we can discuss it.
But we have monies in the
Yes, if you
contingency
wanted to do
to
something,
do
you
whatever
could.
you guys want to agree
We
on.
start with 5,000.
Yeah, 5. We'll start with 5.
From
And
this
then
current
we'll
fiscal
add
year.
From the
another
current
5 maybe to the
contingency?
budget next year.
For the
Yes.
current now, yes.
we can
Okay.
do it on the
Yes.
next
So
budget.
that's now or?
Now.
Now,
No.
Now.
Okay.
and then we'll put it on the agenda for the budget for next year for maybe another additional 5.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you all. The selection of the executive search firm for city manager recruitment.
Thank you, Mayor. We've pursued along the lines that you agreed, and we have solicited bids. We've gotten 6 proposals. And I think I've talked to all of you. From my point of view, all of these headhunters are certainly qualified to do the job and recruit manager candidates for you to select from. There are different ways you can do it. Obviously, you could, screen them. I presume you've read them. We sent them to you. And then you could do a short list or something. But what I'm suggesting, if you all can come to a consensus tonight on one candidate, we can move forward with it. If we can get 3 votes for one of these. I don't think you'll go wrong with any of them, frankly.
Commissioner Grace?
I'm torn between Daytona Beach and Texas.
Me too.
Oh, that's all you have? I really liked the Renee candidate.
From?
I think she's from Tallahassee or Jacksonville. or
Yes, that's
somewhere.
Tallahassee.
I think she's from Tallahassee. I
Okay.
read through all of them. All of them are
Okay.
very well qualified, but something in my spirit went with this one. She wasn't the cheapest. However, the Mercer one is a little deceiving because it doesn't include any of the travel and stuff for the staff. So whereas $15,000, that's not including flights, and they may fly more than one time. It's not including hotels, not including all the things that have to be reimbursed. Whereas the other ones kind of have like a not to exceed type of amount. So I don't want them to come down here and stay in the Ritz-Carlton and give us a reimbursement.
Morrison's right next door.
Well, to stay there and to run up a bill, and it says in their contract that they'll be reimbursed. So I saw a lot of the people that she's currently working with, and so that would be my pick.
So we have 6. We narrowed it down to 3, and whatever my colleagues decide, that I'm with you.
Well, I guess I'll make a first motion before anybody else make one. Nobody want to say nothing. I'll make a motion for Renee Marlock.
Is this for,
This is for the headhunter.
Yeah.
that's what I thought. We can't use more than one at a time, huh? We can't use more than one.
No, you're only going to use one.
One.
You can choose one tonight, but you'll prolong the process if we have to set up a committee and go through the process of
Well, I don't personally know
presentations.
any of them.
I will make a motion to select Narlock and Associates.
Oh, well, I guess I'll second it.
Okay.
Where are they from?
Tallahassee.
From
Okay, well,
Tallahassee.
that's consensus. All those in favor, go do it. We do it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay. We'll let
What?
Narlock know, and we'll be bringing them in, and there'll be, we're getting the agreement first signed, and
Pretty much the same, whether they're one or the other, the people, once they put it out, the same people are going to be appointed.
they're reputable
yeah.
first. People know who they are, and they'll apply for the
I went through
position.
each of them. I don't know any of them.
I don't either, so.
You good to just play spin the bottle?
Thank you.
Probably got the
Okay.
same thing. Commissioner Brandon Marty?
No, I'm good.
No, okay.
Very good.
Commissioner Grace?
What a dirty look. That was
Commissioner
not
Salvino?
nice. What?
Oh, I thought you said no.
No, absolutely not. First of all, I want to thank all of those people who participated in the Black History Month. We had some awesome programs this year, and I am very happy with everything that was accomplished. And because this was a short month, I encouraged everybody that I talked to please continue this for the rest of the year. Not only Black history, but human history. Because I believe that we all have something that we can offer. And speaking of that, on Sunday afternoon, had the pleasure of being with Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz at the Hallandale Cultural Center, where she introduced and presented to most of us the new Congresswoman from Selma, Alabama, Congresswoman Sewell, who I just fell in love with because she reminded me of the younger Bobby Grace when I was 10 years younger.
Just 10.
You want to follow that, you know where I'm coming from. But she is absolutely a jewel. If you have not had the opportunity to hear her, you really need to. I think that it was very enlightening. I also want to thank our new CRA director for a fantastic workshop. I mean, on rebranding. We've got some stuff that's coming up that I think everybody's going to be proud of. It's going to make Dania Beach a lot different, and I was very saddened by the young lady that came before us tonight because I know that her heart was in the right place, and she is uncomfortable with what is happening right now, and we cannot allow that to happen in our city, nowhere in the city of Dania Beach. So we have to make sure that code enforcement, law enforcement, and elected officials work together, and community partners, the people that live in communities, look out for each other. It's so important, and if there's something that's undesirable that's happening in our communities, just like the tragedy that happened in the school, speak up, say something, so that we can eradicate the negativity that we're having with something very positive. And with that, I want to wish my great-grandson, Carson, Grace George, a happy birthday on Friday. He's going to be 3, and I want to wish my husband a happy anniversary. James and I will be married on Friday, 56
Woo!
years.
Trying to make it 2
56
months.
years. Yes. Well, you don't believe me. She's looking at me like 56
I can't get a text
years.
back.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Would you get married at 9?
And I'm finished. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Salvino?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Sitting next to you, Commissioner Grace, is a piece of work, you know that. Just wanted a couple of things just to remind everybody of. Church of Little Flower is holding their annual carnival Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you've ever been to one of those before, it's down there. It's a lot of fun, so I'd like to have everybody participate. Over the weekend, Vice Mayor had a booth, and myself from Lee's Locksmith and Bicycle Shop supported the Tour de Broward. Joe DiMaggio's Children's Hospital. They raised $571,000 in that event. Somewhere in that area. I know it's 570s, but it was. If you've never attended that event, you've got to get out there. It's not a bicycle, only a bicycle ride. It's a walk and run. It's a walk for 3 miles, a run for 5 miles, and I think a 30 and a 60-mile bike ride. But you raise a few dollars for them, and but it's a great event. Everything's free out there. When you go out there, they give a lot of stuff away. It's held in the Miramar Regional Park usually, but you need to put that on your calendar for next year. You can sign up at my store and become part of my team if you'd like. Speaking of Black History Month, I enjoyed going to the Black Heritage at the BB&T Center with the mayor and Commissioner Grace. It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of good speakers in there. I learned a lot about Black history. They had a great video that was up. It was a nice evening, and they also treat us to a hockey game up in the big seats, way up on top. But that's okay. I got tired of walking the steps. Is really the problem. We also enjoyed going to the Prestige Club and receiving an award for the city of Dania Beach. I hope I'm not stealing your thunder, Mayor.
No, go ahead.
And while we're bragging on kids, I do have to say that I did go to Gainesville for 4 days with my granddaughter at 10 years old. She played in the USSSA girls fast pitch tournament, and she batted 600. And if you can even imagine 10-year-olds throwing the ball 50 miles an hour underhand, it is truly an amazing feat. And watching them jump out of the catcher's position and throwing them out at second base and hitting the ball over 200 feet at 10 years old. She did a great job. I'm very proud of her, and I just wanted to tell everybody that. Thank you. I'm done, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I enjoyed all the festivities for Black History Month.
I forgot Bill.
Really? Really?
Oh, sorry.
Pasadena? Really?
Vice Mayor. I thought we was trying to beat a record. I'm sorry.
I don't know how to take that. So I will give you some good news. The stop sign at Northwest 1st Street and Bryan Road has been approved yesterday as a interim 4-way stop at that intersection during the construction. And then after the construction is over, they will reassess the situation to determine what's going to be done there in the future. So I think it was about a year ago when we first asked for that over at Ebenezer.
And they said we're going to get it.
And it's taken this long to get the approval on that, so that's a good thing. Thanks to Scott Bruner and Bob and Brad, everybody who was in on that, Mark, you also, getting with Richard Tornese and Scott Bruner. So those are the guys. Just a question about the gate arms for the hotel in the parking garage. Did they find the mechanism for hotel guests that stick their guest card in there and go up and park themselves? Do we?
Mark Ferrier, Community Development. Well, actually, gate arms won't be the approach that we're going to use. What we worked out with Morrison is that we'll have a gate up on the, I think it goes into the third floor.
Okay.
It's an automated gate. We're waiting for them to provide us the sensor information so that we can install that all.
Okay.
But we're coordinating with them.
Okay. Because I know the hotel has a lot of arriving guests, but I'm not sure yet how many have cars. Last Thursday night was the Neighborhood Ambassador event at the new Morrison Hotel, and we had a turnout of what, Raquel, about 100 people or more, over 100, and it was a well-attended event with a lot of good energy in there. And then tomorrow morning is the Board of Realtors breakfast at the Morrison Hotel, and we're expecting 100?
130, 40.
125, 130. So that's at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Is it too early to talk about the summer vacation schedule yet, or do we need to? Okay, for the next agenda.
Next. Make sure we do it before those 29 days.
Yeah.
He's looking.
I was, the mayor graciously read the names of all the victims for the Parkland Marjorie Stoneman Douglas massacre. I had those to read too, but I was out there with the League of Cities on Thursday night for the prayer vigil, or the first candlelight vigil. I don't know, there was 20,000 people there. It was the most amazing thing I think I'd ever seen. I was with Officer Hoff, who was the representative from PSO in Dania Beach. And then also I was at the gun safety rally at the federal courthouse on that Saturday with most of the other elected officials from Broward County, and that was fairly moving too, with all the kids that were speaking, the League of Women Voters. I mean, it was an event that was organized very quickly, and the turnout was in the thousands. So it just goes to show you the power of social media. And so it's been a difficult couple of weeks, but you can see some positive things happening in the future. So that's all. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Don't pass me over again.
Okay, next time I'm not coming back. I want to first recognize a few of our employees. Kimco with Joe Dennis and Peter Flynn and Mr. Shapiro and Terry Salzman. They really commended our apartment department led by Mark LaFerrier and his staff, and they wrote, I would read the letter, it's 2 pages long, and but it was a very, very nice letter. We don't get a lot of letters. Obviously, public service is a thankless job, and so for them to point out our employees and the hard work and the dedication that they all are doing to try and coordinate and get Dania Point up and running, I just want to commend them. They will be my employees of the month, I assume, since we didn't have any. And just wanted to thank them for that letter. The branding, the workshop was amazing. I think it was a lot of positive energy in that workshop. We got a lot accomplished, and I think that the city is going to see a lot of new changes branding-wise over the next few weeks. And so I hope we all embrace it, and I hope you all like it. We did, it's probably been more than a year that we've been waiting for. We approved the sign that's gonna go in our entryway by the airport. And so it's something that we can really look forward to doing with all the new construction, to really have visual things that we can look at and be like, oh my gosh, yes, like, that's new, that's great, that's wonderful, and it's something that we can all be proud of. I want to ask questions. Oh, I attended the Prestige Club over at Signature Grand, and they did present us with an award. And we are always receiving awards, and you guys are awesome.
Yes.
And I also attended the BBO, which is the Broward Black Elected Officials event that they had over at the BB&T Center. And we had a lot of powerful people in that room. It's a lot of history, and I think it should be celebrated all year and not 1 month of the year. It should just be a part of American history, period. And the contributions of people to this nation have been tremendous, and I don't think it should be forgotten in the rest of the months. I want to ask a question about the extra storage, computers and electronics and printers that I see. What are we doing with those? Can we,
Typically,
can we burn?
typically when they become out of date, they should be surplus and gotten rid of. A lot of them are just
They probably can't even be used.
kept, but there is a law on how we have to dispose of them. Some of them are just junk.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I've been wandering around City Hall and some of the places because I've been trying to see how we can accommodate some of the new staff that we have here. And a lot of those rooms are just filled with stuff that probably doesn't even work anymore. I mean, I know if you have an iPhone, if it's 2 years old, you have to update it. So I can't imagine having a computer that's over 10 years old. If you think you're going to donate it somewhere, it's probably still not going to work. So with that.
We'll have IT look at it. They should be keeping up on that, but.
I can point out a lot of places where it's a lot of junk, looks like to me.
Junk.
Maybe we can give it away for some use for someone else. Because I wanted to ask, as our departments are expanding, and I know that we have a new HR director and we're going to be getting some new positions, it's very cramped up there. And I wanted to, I guess I should have ran this by Raquel first, but I wanted to see if it's possible that we can probably try to move the CRA department over there where Mr. Geller is, if that would be more room, because we currently have someone up there that's in a conference room and it's temporary. So what's going to happen when the HR department is filled?
On a temporary basis, we can look at doing those type things. But as you know, the commission wants to do something with City Hall and.
Well, yeah,
it's gotta
I
be
mean,
a
until
longer
that
range.
happens,
Right.
do you have a problem? I'm sorry, Raquel. Could you come to the podium, please? She said, "Oh Lord." We have someone that's in a conference room right now, Commissioner. That's all I'm saying.
Raquel Williams, CRA Executive Director. I don't know if you're referring to our new addition to staff being in the conference room. Sometimes we utilize the conference room to do different things when we're preparing for events, but we do have that person in an office. The suggestion that you are making today, the only issue that comes to mind right off the bat is that I don't think it's compliant from an ADA perspective for people to come up to those offices that are being used up, going
Well,
up.
but that's for city hall people. Since you're the CRA, are you a different entity than City Hall, or could you just do if you're meeting somewhere else, or if you're comfortable with that?
Well, that could be explored. At this time, I wouldn't want to say yes or no,
Okay.
but I think if there's a way to have accessibility with meetings, we have a lot of meetings and a lot of people come from the community. I don't know if there are adjustments that could be made to the existing space that would allow for that, but that would be my only concern right off the bat. But yeah, there are space issues that we're trying to overcome, and I think that city staff has been very accommodating in helping us to try to relieve some of those issues.
And it is with HR now. When they're full speed again, because CRA is using our training room, we're letting them use that. So we
Right,
do
that's
need
what I'm
more
saying.
space.
That's what I'm
We had
saying.
talked, I remember at one point about maybe putting the CRA in over where Parks and Recreation is. Right, that was years ago. But there are options. We can work with her and see if we
Okay.
can come up with something.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that being said, if anyone is interested, if have any grandkids for you all, my son is playing flag football out there at C.W. Thomas Park on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think the time is like 5:30. I just received a flyer or something with it. But just keeping our kids busy, and we also have a basketball program that is going on right now. Is softball going on right now?
Mixed, it needs help.
Okay, well, we have a new athletic director. I was just trying to see if, are you guys not right now? Okay, so the sports that are in right now is basketball and football, and I'm really excited that we have an athletic director, and I'm really interested to see where this goes and where this is a turn, because we have a lot of kids with unoccupied time on their hands, and they are filling our parks with nothing to do, and so anything to keep them busy, I am all for it. And that is it for me. Appointments. Anyone have any appointments? We have Education Advisory Board, Green Advisory Board, and the Marine Advisory Board. Vice Mayor? No, neither. Anyone in the audience?
Number of seats on the board to see if we can.
Okay, can we question the number of seats that's on any of the boards so we can reduce them since we are having a hard time filling them?
She's saying you need a workshop to do that.
Oh, Lord.
You mean we don't have the right to cut down a 15-member board to 5?
Yes, but you'd have to do it by resolution, the same way the board was established. So you'd have to set those parameters together as a board before we could change anything.
You guys want to have a workshop?
No.
No.
Let the board stand.
Next time we have a workshop, though, we
Next
could probably,
week.
it'd probably be a 10-minute discussion, and we could probably add that into our workshop.
Okay, when bringing that up, I forgot to mention that what we spoke about, Commissioner Brandon Marty, sit up. You all right? She's like, I'm ready to go.
When he's saying add 10 minutes, you think it would be only
No.
10 minutes to get rid of all those boards?
No,
and
yeah.
tear them down?
No, but just to say how many they have, and we can just go down.
Oh, do one at a time.
Can I say something?
Oh.
Another alternative would be we could place one on the agenda every week. Like next week, we could place the Airport Advisory Board, and then you could tell us what you want to do with that board if you want to reduce it from 15 members.
And that's why you've served so long with us. Thank you, Louise.
So do you want one or two at a time? One at a time? Okay.
Depending on the length of if it's an agenda like this, we probably could do two. But
You won't know that unless you have a talkative person up here that talks all the time, and you never can tell.
Oh. Shots fired. Okay.
Okay, we'll start with one, and next,
Okay, we'll
on
start
the
with
next
one.
agenda, I'll put the Airport Advisory Board, and then you can recommend to us what you want to do.
Can we do the ones that are under appointments first, so we can at least get the appointments off of here?
Yeah, that's good. That's
I mean, because we don't need to reduce the other ones if we already have people
Okay,
on it, and
so
then
you-
that means you'll have to kick people off your board.
So- So do you want me to do
Educational
education?
Advisory Board, yes.
Just one?
Yes.
Okay.
no.
Education on the next agenda.
No.
What's that?
How many's on the Educational Advisory Board, 10 or 5?
No, it's gonna come back next,
7.
7 positions.
so it'll be,
The mayor gets 2,
Okay.
the 4 of you get 1, and the city manager gets 1.
Okay.
How are you gonna reduce it? To 1? You can only reduce that 1 if everybody.
does the city manager have to have one?
According to the way it's set up now.
So we can,
But see,
set it
the
up
oth-
so-
you could reduce it so that the manager doesn't appoint,
And
and
I'll
then
have
you could
one.
reduce it even further so that the mayor only appoints 1 instead of 2.
That'll work.
I'm fine with that, and then one of
make
mine
a
can go
motion
over
to
to
do
the, vice mayor. We just did it just now, do we have to workshop that?
No? Okay, who's making the motion? Commissioner Salvino?
Yeah, I made the motion.
Second.
Who seconded?
Okay.
All in
second.
favor? Aye. Mm. Green Advisory Board, 2 alternates, can we just eliminate those? They're alternate positions.
Can't fill 'em.
It's no one's appointment.
The board was the one that asked for the alternates.
They
And then
ain't-
the commission said yes, but if you want to remove them again,
Can we remove them? Anyone want to make a motion?
That's 5, that's a 5 board member too? 7?
that's a 5 board member too.
With the alternates? Are they quorumed?
Well, the quorum has to be for the 5, so you have to have at least 3.
So 2 people show up to a meeting, Lord.
3 showing up to make it.
3 showing up is a quorum.
Right, have 3 been showing up? That's the question. If you get rid of the alternates, then you don't have a quorum.
I think they've had 3.
Yeah, you need just 2 then.
I mean, we don't need the
Vote against
alternates,
each
but we
other.
gotta make sure that the 5 appointees, at least 3 or 4 show up.
Okay.
So are you doing
Yeah,
anything?
we'll get rid of the alternates. I make a motion to get rid of the alternates and just make sure we appoint 5 that are gonna show up.
Okay.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye. Good. The Marine Advisory Board.
Well, you're going to have to talk about that one.
That's an important board.
Yeah.
Put that one on the agenda for next time.
Okay. So Marine is
That's
on the next
That's
one.
a 15-member board, isn't it?
That's a 15-member
And when I
board.
served on that board, we had problems getting a quorum all the time.
Really? 15?
Absolutely.
I think we.
7
Eric,
people will show up.
I think when I looked at the last attendance record on that, it was pretty steady.
That's what I'm saying.
Can you
15
bring an attendance record for the last year on the Marine Advisory Board when you come back with that?
For the next year,
Yes.
for the last year, yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Look at that. All right, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor.
Wait, I'm sorry. Do we need a motion to approve these appointments or lack
We
of
did.
appointments?
We did.
We didn't have any appointments. There were no appointments. We just.
There were
We
no
eliminated them.
appointments.
But we didn't eliminate the Marine Advisory Board.
That's going on the next agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I announced the selection of the HR director, and I've passed out a report, the one I hand out every 2 weeks to keep you up on the projects. So if you have any questions, let me know.
When
And
does,
that's all I
when, when does the HR director start?
have. She starts on March 26th. She's a former city employee too, so I think you'll be very impressed with her.
Okay. That's it? Oh, okay.
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add? City Clerk?
Next meeting, Tuesday, March 13th at 5:30 PM will be a CRA board meeting, followed by a city commission meeting at 7 PM. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Good night. We adjourn.